All right, everybody, guess what? Whoa, we are starting something brand new right off the cuff. I have my sister right here, Karen
Yes.
DeVille. And guess what? You know what? I tell you something. Sometimes there's blessings in just craziness. And here, let me explain what I mean by this. I have this little gift where people's names come into my brain all of a sudden. I could be anywhere. I could be drinking coffee. I could be on a call. I could be anywhere in the park. I could be taking a walk, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody pops up. Well, about a week ago, this wonderful lady popped into my head. Here's the first lesson: do not wait when somebody
Yes.
pops into your head to contact them. Right now, we're going through a massive pandemic. We all know that. We're all sheltering in place. We're all spending way more time indoors than we ever have. It's a great time to connect with people. Do not assume. We already heard what assume stands for. Do not
Mm,
assume that the other person is got this or everything's great. We've been socialized. When somebody says, "How's it going?" You always say, right? You don't even think about it.
right.
Great.
I'm doing
Every
fine.
planet Earth is always great, right? Nothing's imperfect. Everything's perfect all the time. That's not the truth. Make the phone calls. Now's a great time to reconnect.
Hmm.
This is coming about. This is one of the results of reconnecting. So we decided together that we would start this video cast, right? Like a podcast. And we were going to start talking just
Yes.
about things that we see floating and they're marinating in our hearts and our spirits, in our
Yes.
experiences as well. We see a lot of people hurting. I'm talking to a lot of people every day on the mortgage side, and I hear it and I see it.
Mm,
And so we're going to have these discussions. They're meant to be seeds, mustard seeds for
that's right.
change,
That's
mustard
right.
seeds for maybe making somebody smile, maybe giving them a little bit of insight, maybe nothing. Maybe nothing comes out of it. But here's the thing, that as long as our hearts are pure and the intent is always pure, then something will blossom out of these. So, Karen, again, I
Yes.
feel so blessed that we reconnected, and I'm
Oh, I'm so
so ecstatic that we're
I'm
starting this
excited.
because, first off, we don't know where it ends. We don't
That's right,
have, like,
Ed.
this isn't, we're going to do 20 of them. We don't know, but we're starting this today. And you did a presentation for a group of mine recently, and that's why I said, you know what, let's start our D1, day one,
Yep.
first video presentation with one of the topics that you talked about, which was the C and the T and the three Ds.
That's
And I
right,
felt like it
Ed.
was so compelling because look, as long as we systematize to a certain degree, not being robotic, by the way, having a
Hmm.
system in place, because we are creatures of habit as human
That's right.
beings,
That's
that
right.
it gives us the greater ability to thrive and to maybe
Hmm.
come out of depression, maybe activate the joy that is within us because we all have it. Sometimes some of us need a little bit more than others, and that's okay, by the way,
Hmm.
right? But here's what I know: people is the answer.
That's
No matter
right.
what, we were built for community. Look what's going on, everyone.
Oh,
The
I
fact
know.
that we're away from people is causing greater social ills. There's more depression, more suicide happening right now. And I
Hmm.
feel it's because we feel disconnected because we weren't born for that.
That's
We were
true.
born for what I call barbecuing. We had one gigantic barbecue, one
That's right.
gigantic group hug, one big coffee fest, because, I got to throw in the coffee part. But it's
Well, we
true. We
must
were meant for
connect.
community. We have to connect.
Yes,
And
we
it
do.
feels so good. Picture
Hmm.
yourself
It's
with
important.
that family member and or that best friend that when you go and have coffee with them, picture this. Imagine you haven't seen them for 3 months and you guys decide, let's meet at the Pete's. And there you are outside because you get there early, you're drinking your coffee, and then you see them from afar. I want you to
Mm,
capture that moment.
I got
How are
it.
you feeling in
Oh,
that moment when you see that person?
yeah.
And all of a sudden, whoa, the heart starts to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You feel the
yeah,
vein
yeah.
starting to crank.
Yes, it's
And
a
all
good
of a
feeling.
sudden, right, you got the endorphins going. You
Mm-hmm,
feel,
mm-hmm.
isn't that greater than anything you can possibly own? Car, house, whatever.
Connection,
Statistics show, by the
connection.
way, that no matter what you buy that is brand new, you're all excited, whether it's,
That's
On your
right.
bucket list is a house or a Ferrari or this or that, whatever that looks like. Did
Mm-hmm.
you know that statistics show that after 6 months, the novelty
Been there,
wears
done
off?
that. Been there, done that.
But how
Yes.
interesting is it, Karen, that the novelty of new relationships, the novelty maybe of, any relationship does not wear off after 6 months? Isn't that a trip?
It is.
But it
And
does
in
for
fact,
material
yes,
stuff.
yes, because we need one another. Was what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to connect. And it's that connection that makes us stronger, that we grow, that we
That's right.
learn from one another,
That's
and
right.
that we share, we give back. And that type of feeling, no money can pay for it. It's priceless. The
That's exactly
connection,
right.
it's priceless. And that's why during this pandemic, it's important that we still connect. We
Yes,
still connect. And that's why I
that's
was
right.
so excited when you reached out. And it just, I mean, just like, this was just like perfect timing, because anytime that someone reaches out to you and connects with you, especially someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, and you pick up right, you and I picked up right where we left off.
Like it just happened a
Yeah,
day ago.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
And we just went from there. That right there, that's a soul connection. It's
Yeah.
priceless. And
It
that's
really
what we
is.
we have to make sure that we keep these connections going, no
Because
matter
if
what we're
not,
under.
what ends up happening, Karen, that we use these excuses, oh, I'm busy. Oh, it's just on my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
Mm-hmm.
kids, that, we hadn't talked since before the birth of my son. My son's going to be 7 years old next month.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
been
A
greater
long
than
time.
7 years. That's a long time. But
That's a
notice
long
that we
time.
reconnected it. It was like literally had been 7 days, not
You're
even
right.
7 years, right?
Right. Right.
So the power of that is number one, make sure that you surround yourself with people. And here's the key: when times are tough, that they're walking towards you, not
Yes.
away from you. Because at a party, everybody's a friend.
That's
But
right.
what ends up happening when the party's over? Who's left?
Yes.
It's in the difficult times that true character comes out,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
remember when people used to say
Yes.
that money corrupts people? No, it doesn't. It reveals.
Who they are
It
and what's inside of
reveals,
them.
right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the C and T and the 3Ds. Tell me, where did this concept, first off, what is the concept? And two, where did it come from and when?
So the C, T, and the 3Ds is courage, tenacity, determination, dedication, and desire. All right.
Mm, okay.
Desire. And I say desire last because desire fuels all the others. Because when you have the desire,
Oh,
that's that
I'll
thing
write
that
that
you
down.
that's
Mhm.
inside of you, that you just know this is something I want to do. And so many times we don't know how to do it. We don't know where to start. We don't know
True.
what's the first step. And you know what? That's okay. You're not supposed to have all the answers to the things that you want to do. But the
So
one
true.
thing that you must check your desire, and that's where courage steps in, because courage is that thing, do something that scares you. You don't know how it's going to go about, but you need to make sure your desire is big enough. Because I think too many
Mm.
times we do not set our desires or our goals to be big enough. We think that we'll set our goals down here because we feel like, okay, I can manage this.
Well, it's safer.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
represents safety for a lot of people.
Right. And the number one thing, because everyone is afraid of failure, right?
That's
And so
right.
you want to set yourself in an area where you won't fail. But guess what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing learned. And so we are here on this earth to do what? To grow, to learn, to be better than we were last year, last month, yesterday. And that's why the challenges, you can't be afraid of those challenges, because we each have a purpose. And that's why I truly believe that desire that burns in your heart is there for a reason. And so that's why, number one, you have to apply courage to go after what is embedded in you. That thing that sometimes I feel like it's all the way back in childhood. We get little glimpses when we're as a child of that thing that we just love. I did that. What we're doing right now is a glimpse into where my childhood was. Because I told you, the story, one of my favorite gifts as a kid was a tape recorder. And I would go around the house taping everybody, interviewing everybody. I would create my own radio show. I was the announcer. I was a commercial. I was the introducer. I was the one woman show.
Yeah, you were
Okay.
the one woman band.
Yeah. So you can't be afraid to tap into those things because it's a glimpse of who you are. And so you must have the courage, no matter how long it takes, to hold on to that because it will come around.
And here's what's interesting about courage. Some people who see others succeeding think that those people are devoid of fear.
Mm-hmm.
They think, well, it's easy for you.
Right.
It's easy for you because you weren't born like afraid, or you haven't
Mm-hmm.
been through all these things. Let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
something. Everybody has fear.
That's right.
Everybody has fear.
Every
Here's the
single
difference.
person.
Some people stay stuck and others do it anyway.
That's right.
They
That's the
overcome
key.
anyway. They move forward anyway. They put right foot, left foot anyway. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
key. It's
Mm-hmm.
not to eliminate fear. It's to develop your courage muscle so
Yes.
as to do it anyway,
Do it
because
anyway.
it's moving forward and breaking through that counts. It's not focusing on eliminating fear, because that's not going to happen. We're always going to have a visceral,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you imagine like never being afraid of a tiger in a cage?
Right.
Like who would ever have that?
Right.
Nobody. But they know, they've been trained how to minimize that and to move forward with their fear,
Yes.
develop courage, and then being able to tame the lion or the tiger.
Exactly. Exactly. Because without fear, how are you going to get to the point where you get to that euphoric, overcoming feeling? Like, oh, look what I did.
Mhm.
I was afraid of doing that and I kept going. I did it anyway. And look where I am today. So that's that growth muscle. You must understand. Use your fear. It's okay to be afraid, and it's okay to feel that you're going to fail, because failure is not the end. It's a lesson. And I like to think of failure as just a way of what do you say? Calibrating.
Yeah,
It's like, okay,
recalibrating. Yeah.
I tried this. Okay, let me pivot a little bit. That's all failure is. It's a lesson. It shows you, okay. And it's just like you have to go down the road. Before we had GPS and we were traveling somewhere, sometimes we may make a wrong turn and we have to back up. That's all it is. Back
Yeah, I
up.
couldn't agree with you more. And I will tell you something that, in my opinion, you cannot taste success without having tasted failure first.
That's right. That's right.
Failure for me is my greatest university that gives me the benefits of two major things in my life. One is growth.
Yes.
The second is education.
That's right.
It's in the failures that I have learned
Mm-hmm.
how to succeed. So instead of
Yes.
avoiding the failures, I actually embrace them, because I know that there comes another opportunity for my two major things, growth and learning.
That's right. That's
Without those
right.
failures, there's no way. If you think about somebody like, what was it, Thomas Edison? I
Oh,
think he
how
submitted
many?
1,000 patents or something
Yeah.
before he got
It was
one
so,
patent
yes, that's right.
issued.
That's right.
Like, I think if you think about it, like 1,000, like you kept trying 1,000 times. Like most people would give up at like 3,
Right.
not 1,000. Like 1,000 is
Yes.
crazy, right? But this is
That's
a great example of somebody. I mean, you look at Elon Musk and Tesla. The guy was 3
yes.
weeks away from bankruptcy,
Yes.
but he believed
And he
so
kept
hard
going.
that he kept hitting that
He kept,
courage,
see, that's the
developing
desire.
that courage.
That desire, that
That's
desire,
right.
that desire. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I must do this. It's that desire that drives. And so that's why that's the foundation of
That is the
everything else.
foundation.
You
You're
must
right.
have the desire, because it's the thing that keeps you going no matter what. No matter what. It's
I
like, I know
couldn't
I
agree
can
with you
do
more.
this. I know I can do this. Let me just try it one more time, one more time, one more time. And that's why it's so important not to get caught up on your ego and how you feel and how you think other people are going to feel about what you're doing. Is because you must be humble to your journey and understand that it is a journey. It's not always about the destination. It's about what you are learning along the way that's going to fuel you into the next journey. Life is a journey. And so we have to be willing to walk the journey, because you can't set out
Yeah.
to go from point A to point B or point A to point Z and skip through all the rest. You have to follow the path.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I would say be careful the desires that you pick, because sometimes
Yes.
desires come masked as something important in your life, but you really haven't looked in the mirror to say, is this really what I want? Is this
Yes.
really a desire, or is this more ego speaking? So
Yes.
pick your desires carefully. Somebody asked me one time, hey Ed, you're known for being very creative, in your mortgage business. And is there anybody you can't help? I said, yeah, there's one person. And he said, well, who is that? I go, take a guess. Oh, somebody with bad credit. I said, nope. Okay, somebody with no money. Nope. He's running out, right? All the typical answers. I said, look,
Right.
let me get you off the hook. I tell you, there's one person I can't help. The one where I want it more than they do.
Yes.
I cannot help that person.
You cannot.
You have to have the desire.
Yes.
You have to
gotta
have
want
the
it.
hustle, the grit that we talk about. You got to want it so bad that when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you think about.
That's right. That's right. You got to want it. You must want it.
You
and that's
must.
why none of
by
the
action,
others.
not just by tongue, by the way.
Yes. It's something that's inside. It drives you. It drives you. And that's how you know the difference between something I want to do and a desire. Because if it's not fueling you, it's not a desire. Desires will fuel you. You never get tired of thinking about that thing, what I want to do.
There's our next t-shirt.
Oh.
Desire will fuel you.
Yes, desire will fuel you. It will. I'm a living witness of that. It will fuel you. And so much so, when you're really tapped in, it will not only fuel you, it will push you.
It will propel you. Absolutely.
Yes. And to where that's sort of the journey I went through when I moved to Phoenix. It was something to where I had a bit of trepidation about moving to Phoenix, but it was so much so until it forced me and everything lined up perfectly. I mean, even to the point of picking the house, getting the loan, going forward. I thought, okay, well, if this is where I'm supposed to be, it's going to line up. And sure enough, it propelled me here. So here I am 15 years later. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And here's another thing you have to remember about when you're going on this path and you have courage, and then you get to that second one, which is the tenacity. That is that, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to hold on to it. Like that, just like that rock waller, how he holds on to things. You're not going to let it go. You must understand that along that journey, you're going to have some pitfalls. You're going to have some challenges. You're going to have some things that make you ask, is this really what I should be doing? That is just comes as part of it, because when you're on your journey and your path, I feel like life just wants to make sure, are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you certain? And that's that gut check. It's like the way you have
what I call the QC. It quality controls you.
Yes, it does. It really. Is this it? Is this really it? And when you have that burning desire, you're like, do it anyway. Just go for it. Okay, I got a couple of setbacks. I'm doing it anyway. I'm just going. And that's why you have to have time. You have to have time. Yes, we need to be a community, but you also have to understand and have that time to yourself. And really have that conversation with yourself and sit with yourself. Yes, to know who you are. What have you collected along the way? What strength have you collected along the way? What weaknesses have you discovered that you're now going to work on to help fuel you even more? And that's where that tenacity kicks in, because it's like, okay, I'm kicking this desire into the next gear. I got my courage. I understand I got a couple of fears. I understand that, maybe a couple of pitfalls along the way, but I'm going to keep going anyway. If I fall down, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to keep moving forward.
Now, why do you think most people give up at that tenacity stage? Because for me, the tenacity is really the key to going from what I call singular results to momentum exponential results. So tell me, why do you think most people give up at the tenacity stage?
I think it's a matter, like you call the quality and control. They have to make sure that what they're going after is truly something that they want and not something someone told them they should do.
Mm.
And so that's when you have to kind of recalibrate, and you have to really ask yourself, is this something that I should be chasing, or something that's chasing me? Because
Mm.
your true
Mm.
desire will chase you. It will come
That's
after
true.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's when if you can't make it through that tenacity stage, you have to really start asking yourself, is am I doing this because someone said I would be good at it, or if it's something that's in my heart, something that I feel, kind of that pumping in your chest when you wake up. It's like, yeah, I just got a knack for this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't even know if I'm going to be good at it, but it just burns in me to do it.
What tools do you suggest people embrace in the tenacity stage? Because, for example, for me, I keep every testimonial ever. Like whether it's something on LinkedIn, somebody wrote, or somebody sent me a really nice email, I put it in a folder
Hmm.
so that when I'm feeling anemic on tenacity, I go back
Hmm.
and read it because it kicks me back into my why. Why am I
Yes.
doing this?
Yes.
And is it
Yes.
something I still want to do? So that's one of the tools I use. I go back and read the nice things people have said because
Yes.
life isn't always so easy, right? And sometimes it's a very thankless
Yeah. Oh.
day, week, month, right?
Oh,
So we
yes.
need resources and tools to do that. So what tools do you use and recommend to stay in the tenacity phase?
There's a couple of things I use. Number one, I think back to my challenges, the things that I've come through, no matter how small they were. I think back to, I did this so I can take
Mm,
on this one, because I think everything that we overcome is just a stepping stone into the next journey. So that's number one. You have to keep reminding yourself of what you've overcome. And I do that by journaling.
mm,
Journaling is
journal.
huge. I journal. And I remember when I was going through a lot of financial issues, when I had financial challenges, a single mom raising three kids,
Yeah.
that was not easy,
I
especially in the
remember.
in
I
the
remember
Bay
you.
Bay Area. Oh, it was not
Hmm.
easy, and so
Hmm.
I felt like sometimes it was a matter of, okay, which bills get paid this month, and
Yep.
so I remember those days, and so I would write in my journal. I would write my bills in my journal. And I said, okay, I need to pay this. I need to pay this. I need to pay this. I said, okay, Lord, you know what I need to do. I want to be a good servant of what you give me. And so I need to take care of these things. And so through those journals, and there was a time when I had to move and sell my house and move to an apartment with my kids, and in this particular area I found out wasn't the greatest area. So I said, I don't want to be here another Christmas. I put that in my journal. That was a
Mm.
small goal that I set. And so I wrote on, I remember it was Christmas night, and I wrote in my journal, I said, I do not want to spend another Christmas here. And so that was part of it. And do you know, Ed, everything I put in that journal, I went back and crossed it off. So that next Christmas, I was in a new place in Pleasanton. I was no longer where I was, but I was living in Pleasanton. And every bill that I wrote in that journal, I went back and crossed it off when I paid for it. So it's important to write down some of the challenges that you have. Journal about it. Some people do vision boards, but you
Yeah.
have to put it down on what your challenges are and how you're going to overcome it, or what you want to overcome.
That's great advice. And I'll tell you, the research is overwhelming on this that when people have written things down, the percentage of checking those boxes off
That's
and
it.
success is through the roof compared
Oh,
to when it's happenstance, meaning you're just shooting from the hips,
that's
nothing
right.
recorded, you're just whatever. You
Right.
cannot treat your life as whatever or shoot from the hips. Make your
Right.
life very intentional. So I love
Yes.
that because I do vision boards myself, and I have to visualize because I'm a very visual person. I don't
Hmm.
journal, although I think that that's a fantastic way to do it. Uh, Especially now that we have our cell phones, our smartphones, everybody's got a note feature
That's
in there,
right. That's
right? You
right.
can write it down there, carry it with you, read it
That's
every
right.
single time when you're
Or
checking your phone.
record it. Record
Yeah,
it.
or record it is another great one for
Yeah,
sure. But these are wonderful tools to keep you accountable, not to the outside world, but to you. This
that's
is your life.
right.
These are your
That's
goals. These
right.
are your desires, right?
Yes. I
Awesome. Well,
call
let's
it
keep going.
I call it coming back to center. We
Mm-hmm.
all must come back to center. So where is your center? You go out there, if you're depending on what kind of work you do, I have a ton of customers I support. And so I have to extend myself to meet their needs and do what they need, give them the service. But I have to come back to center. What is it that I'm working on in my life? What are my personal goals? Not always professional, but my personal goals. What are my life goals? And come back to center, and okay, talk about journal. Okay, here it is right here.
Ooh,
you know,
nice one too.
Journal. I'm a writer. I write poetry. So I express myself through the written word. But
Uh,
when you're visual, you put it on visual. You set up that vision board. Whatever your modality is, that's how you start. And I guarantee if you start to journal, you're going to see your result. And when you see those results, then you start to, what I say, tell the world about what you overcame. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what I did, because there's someone else who needs to hear. No matter how small you think it is, there's someone else who needs to hear that story. And every time you share your story, guess what? It elevates you a step further and a step further and a step further, until you find yourself, you got all this collection of all these great stories that you've overcame. I remember when I only had one story to tell. And I would tell that story. I would tell it to my family. Like, we get together on family
like,
events or
here she
whatever.
goes.
Right. That's exactly what they would do. Here she goes again. And I would tell them about what I wanted to do. Like, for instance, moving to Arizona. I had no idea that I was going to move to Arizona. But this is one thing I did have, Ed. I knew I was going to move. And I knew I was going to move to the South. And I knew it was going to be hot. Arizona, I did not pick it. So that's, again, you can't be too specific about your journey. You have to listen and hear the clues. That's part of that burning desire. When that determination gets in and you know there's something that you want to do, you hold on to it. Don't try to frame it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to plot every step, but take it one step at a time. And that's the difference of meeting desires and setting a goal. Setting a goal is something that you set and you have the particular steps to meet the goal. But a desire is totally different. You may have goals that incorporate within the desire, but you cannot frame a desire. You can't frame it. You have to allow yourself to walk in the spaces that are unknown to you. Right? You have to be what I like to call comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's one thing that
Right.
I have become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because when you become comfortable with the uncomfortable, guess what? You're limitless. There's nothing you can't do. Because a lot of time what holds people back is because it doesn't feel comfortable where I am
That's
right
right.
now. And so they step back into comfort mode. Even when they know that this is not good for them, they'll step back into the comfortable mode because, oh, I'm familiar with it. And so you have to
Yeah.
take that leap,
Yeah.
you
And as a
know?
matter of fact, I would say comfort is like a Venus flytrap.
Yes.
The fly thinks it's a regular plant, and it lands and it gets eaten up by this.
Yes.
That's the same thing as comfort. I want to go back and talk a little bit about what you said about telling your story.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to end in that, because what we're going to do is we're going to do another, the next video. We're going to talk about the 3Ds expanded, because we're obviously covering a lot and I don't want people to lose attention to this. So
Yes.
let's talk about that part about sharing your story. Now, keep in mind, when we say share your story, it's not share from ego. Look at me. That's not what
Right.
we're talking about. We're
Right.
talking about, look at me. It happened to
Yes.
me and you can
Yes.
overcome it too. Here's why. Because believe it or not, sometimes what comes out of our mouth becomes permission for the other person to tell their
Oh,
story
that's
and to
right.
live their truth as well.
That's
Sometimes
right.
people need permission. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about overt where you tell somebody you got permission. Well, obviously they got permission. They're adults. They can do whatever they want. But I'm
Right.
talking about permission of the soul, permission of the heart. And
Yes.
your story becomes that. I'm going to give you an example. You ever talk to somebody where you start out the conversation, hey, how was the weekend? Great. How was your weekend? Great. Everybody's like ping ponging great,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into, and what if you said to them, well, I'll be honest, man, this weekend was tough. This weekend, this, and this happened. Man, it's just, I'm so glad that it is Monday. And then all of a sudden they say to you, man, I'm so sorry that's, you know what, man, I hadn't told you this, but, like I just found out, my client who, I didn't know this, his wife is going through cancer. I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But having these conversations then brings out that humanity, and the humanity, there's something about humanity that gives us permission when we're vulnerable and when we're transparent. It becomes the
Yes,
perfect elixir
yes.
for permission for that person to also share their truth.
It is very true. And that's why we need to show up to our conversations with a humble heart.
Mm,
Because you never know what
100%.
opportunity is going to present itself to where you can be of service to someone and help
So
them
true.
in their situation. So
So
you're
true.
right. Telling your story is not from ego. It's like, let me tell you of some hardships I've overcome. And that's what telling your story is about. And in this world of social media and filters and all of that, not too many people are telling that truthness of
Mm-mm.
their story of what they're overcome. But I tell
That's
you,
right.
you will touch so many hearts when you have the courage to step out and say, let me share something with you. Because, like you said, you're giving them permission because it's already
Mm-hmm.
in their heart and they're kind of grappling back and forth whether or not they should go on this journey because there
That's right.
are no happenstances, there are no
No.
coincidences. So if someone's in front of you or on the phone or online with presenting an opportunity, tap into it, be intentional. Be intentional.
Absolutely. And
And because we all hear it in our head,
of course we do.
so a little voice there will tell us, share this, but we hold back.
Yeah.
We hold
And here's the
back.
reason why most people hold back is because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid that you're
Yes.
going to judge them. You're going to see and look down on
Yes.
them. Well,
Yes.
here's the key. Keep in mind that the more you cast the first stone and make yourself vulnerable, the more they're going to open up because of that
Yes.
permission I talked about. Because here, let me end with this. Everybody pick the most perfect person that you
Yes.
think is perfect, that you know, or that you have seen. And I
Mm-hmm.
will guarantee you that they have a story. I will guarantee you that they got wounds that they hide underneath
That's
their
right.
clothing
That's right.
because it's way deeper than skin deep.
That's
They
right.
have stories, they have hurts, they have all kinds of things that they've overcome over the past. I will tell you, one of pastors of a church that I attended said something that I thought was so profound, and this is where we'll end this. He said, in order to be intimate with a person, and I'm talking about platonic intimacy, where you have a true relationship with that person, where you could talk to them about anything, right?
That's
That
right.
best
That's
friend
right.
that I
That's right.
described going
That's
to
right.
Pete's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is think about the word intimacy. It's in to me see.
Yeah.
Let people
Oh,
see who you
yes.
are and
Yes.
watch. Everything will change. It's a total game changer. And by the way, it will overcome pandemics. It will overcome
Yes.
having to shelter in place when you decide that you're going to be really powerful. You want to be
Yes.
powerful?
Yes.
Be the
Yes.
person who's vulnerable. Be the first
Yes.
person to cast that stone. So, Karen, as always, so awesome. We're
I
going to
love
come
it.
back the next one. Don't miss it, because the next one we're going to be talking about the 3Ds. By the way, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on that little bell that's right there. That will alert you every time we drop one of these videos, because we're going to keep going. We're going to keep rolling with these. And please also share with us maybe topics you want us to cover.
That'd be
Have a
great.
great day and be blessed. Take care.
Bye.